Gotcha. Hey, how's it going everybody? It's TheGameconomist back with another Dark Souls 3 PvP guide. Today I'm taking a look at the Wolf Knight Greatsword. Wolf Knight Greatsword can be compared to Gael's Greatsword and the Wolnir Greatsword. All three of them have the same range, and they all deal pure physical damage. You can't infuse them, you can't buff them, so they're all kind of comparable. In terms of damage, I want to say that the Wolf Knight Greatsword wins out. So at 40/40, it just does do more damage than the Gael's Greatsword. The Gael's Greatsword gets about 500 AR, this gets about 525 AR. However, there's a big difference, because the Gael's Greatsword actually has a true combo, and this weapon does not. So with the Gaels, even though if you're just talking about getting an R2 out, you're going to deal a little less damage than the Wolf Knight Greatsword. If you land your R1, you're going to get a true combo, and that's going to deal a lot more damage than the Wolf Knight Greatsword. And then Wolnir's is just okay. It gets a little extra scaling because it gets faith scaling, but it comes out to roughly, maybe a little over 500. It depends on how many points you have to invest in the Wolnir sword. Honestly, Wolnir's the worst of the three because of its bad weapon art and weaker moveset. It's also worth noting that the Wolf Knight Greatsword gets a bonus 20% damage against abyssal enemies. So that's pretty useful, especially if you're fighting a few of the bosses like Wolnir, Aldrich, Dragon Slayer armor even, as well as Dark Eater Midir. So if we're talking about PvE, this is pretty decent AR. Okay, let's talk about the moveset. So you get a regular R1. The R2 is unique, both on the two-handed moveset and the one-handed moveset, right? Kind of like the Black Knight sword, or as it should be called, the Black Knight Greatsword. It kind of has a unique R2 as well. Well, they did that with this weapon, and the problem with it is, whether you like it or not, it has a delay at the beginning, right? It comes out a little slower than other Greatsword R2s. I didn't like that. If I wanted to add a delay to the R2, I just would. I'd hold the button down longer. But you don't have a choice on this weapon, and I feel like that actually holds it back a little bit. The next thing I want to mention, of course, is the weapon art. You have the weapon art R1 and the weapon art R2. It's kind of like, it puts you in a stance, right? And then the R1, you'll do a spinning attack. The R2, you'll do a leap attack, right? And the leap attack is kind of interesting. You can actually, if people are standing too close to you and don't react to it in time, they'll be stunned, and then the whole move will land flattening them, right? Whereas the R1 just comes out kind of fast. It doesn't have any forward momentum, but it spins you around, so it kind of covers the whole area around your body, which I guess that's nice, right? Neither the weapon art R1 nor the weapon art R2 felt necessary. That was kind of the sad part with this weapon. It was fun to land the flip attack, the weapon art R2. It was actually a lot of fun. It looks kind of silly, right? Like, how is that even physically possible? But when it did land, it was pretty funny, and since it flattens your enemy, you get kind of like the advantage there, because they have to recover, so you get a chance to try a wake-up attack. And then with the other move, the weapon R1 felt even kind of less helpful. I don't know why I would use that rather than just regular R1, maybe for the hyper armor, but I don't feel like the damage is enough that I would be going out of my way to trade with an ultra weapon or a great weapon. And that's even more true if you're actually wearing the Artorias armor. If you're wearing that armor set, it's not a very good armor set, to be honest with you. It's kind of like a medium armor set, and this is a trading weapon. With the Artorias, you're just not getting enough absorption, you're not getting enough poise either. And that's very important for a trading weapon. So let me talk a little bit about how it performed in duels. This is a great sword, so of course if you're fighting, a light weapon such as a straight sword or a curved sword, you are trying to trade into your opponent. You're going to have to stagger your R1s to try and catch your opponent, and then you do mix-ups with the R2s. Really kind of straightforward. With the weapon arts, if you used the weapon art R2, you are left prone at the end of it, and you can be punished with the backstab pretty quickly actually, but your opponent can do other things too, like just shoot you with the crossbow. And the weapon R1 leaves you a little less prone, but it's less likely to land because it has poor forward momentum. So I didn't actually find myself using either of the weapon arts very often unless I felt like showing off, right? Where I mostly lived was the R1 and the R2s. Again, let me go back to the R2s. They actually have pretty decent range. So I would just rely on those to try and catch my opponent off guard. And I'll remind you as well that they do have that forced delay at the beginning that's not normal for most of the greatswords. In the end, I had myself wondering if I would ever use this over the Gael's greatsword, and I have to say, in a truly competitive environment, you just wouldn't. Gaels has that superior true combo, right? That's just going to deal more damage if you land an R1. The R2 comes out faster on Gaels, and it also has terrific range. There just doesn't seem to be a reason to use the Wolf Knight's Greatsword, and that's kind of why you don't see it. Similar to Gaels, it struggles with the fact that it's a pure physical weapon, so you're going to have to fight people who are using a Black Knight shield, or whatever it is they pull out. Let me remind you, of course, that you can bring a deep, like a straight sword, or you can bring the Man Serpent Hatchet as well. That's another good option for cutting through shields. And yeah, so that's just another weakness of the weapon. So for the tier ranking, I'm gonna have to place this right into C tier. It gets out damaged by Gaels. The R2 has a forced delay on it, so it's kind of a weaker R2. Again, it tricks randoms all the time, but if you have somebody who understands the R2, they know that they can always get out of it early, right? Okay, so the delayed R2, pure physical, which is a problem for Gaels as well, but it is a problem. And then the weapon arts are too risky, they're too easy to punish, which means that it is better than the Wolnirs, right? Wolnirs is not so great. But the point is, you're not going to be using these weapon arts in a high tier duel. That's the truth. You know, if you end up having to fight this weapon, bring out the Black Knight shield. If you see him using an R2, either roll very early or be sure to delay your roll. Make sure that the move actually starts to come out before rolling, or else you'll get tricked too, right? Alright, so C tier it is. I do appreciate you guys watching. If I missed anything, let me know, and I'll see you guys next time.